That's the way they all became the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. That's the way they became the Brady Bunch.
Experience these states of consciousness, come back, and use art to give credit to that substantial reality.
What would you think? Sorry, Kurt, were you going to talk?
Yeah, it was about the language and whether it can express what this stuff is talking about, or we're talking about a thing that needs to be filled in black, and language can draw an outline of it. I think, at least languages like English, or actually the modern languages, and then emotive arts, or like the spirit behind those arts is the blackness. It's sort of like the taste in the food that you can't really point to. And then in the really old languages, in that original language, the word weren't symbols. It was, the word was the thing. You know, like when you go, wow, you know, like.
Right, yeah,
like
yeah.
It's not, it doesn't mean amazing. It's like the embodiment of being amazed, right? So I guess the original language is based on that, and Sanskrit and stuff like that still has that. So the mantras are, they mean, the words carry that feeling in their very nature. And I think when we sing, it approaches that type of thing. So it starts to actually color in the idea rather than just outline it. But other than that, I don't think language ever really hits on any of these topics dead on. It's always an outline of it. But what you want to be doing is filling in the concept, which I don't think language can do, but the arts can, and maybe that original language could have done. I don't know, since we don't really use it anymore.
Yeah,
I think
why there should be a need for all multimedia.
Yeah, I think.
To come together and consolidate and use all those different forms to get back to some of those origins, to get back to some of the more mytho-poetic roots of it.
Like I think poetry can do it. Like I guess when I say language, I just mean like the logic or the verbiage. You know, like a poetry has a little bit of that oomph behind it that fills in the idea rather than just outlining it through verbiage. So I think like any form of art brings it forward, and then song are the non-symbolic languages of the past.
For sure.
Have you guys seen some of these auto-tuned Bill Nye stations where everything's done in like song and tune, but it's actual information? What do you think about this? Is that the integration of something, something that moves the body and you want on your feet, but it's actual, good stuff. It's substance. It's not,
I think that's how they used to
Cyrus and
teach kids, like with rhythm and song and all that, because you remember it so much better. You know how many, like, if you ever had to do memorize the 50 states, they gave you a song, and like that's, I think that's like the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas are songs, right? Or no, is that something else? I know there's some scriptures that are like basically song, and it's because it helps pass down the, you can keep that feeling and stuff much longer and remember it.
The medium is the message, right? What does that mean? I mean, to actual message. It goes along with the whole idea or notion that reality is more of a play or dance. That you come into contact with has their own melody, and they're meant to go over each other and interact. But we all playing these strings or harmonies over each other that some jive well and some don't. And when you get a lot that jive well, you might get a symphony. And what's that look like? You can put the form to it, but I think we all respect a symphony once it's delivered to us, when someone, or a group mind, a group genius that have sacrificed enough ego to come together into that flow. Talking?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good way of putting it. And
So
it's
I don't know. Do you okay?
it reminds me of just the fact that we live in a society and a culture that really doesn't recognize that reality itself is a kind of symbol. Reality itself is not, this is a part, this is a piece of it, this isn't the full thing. And we basically live in a culture that says, no, this is the full thing. And you're going to get happiness by participating only in this one. And I think the more that we have mystics or the shamanistic experience, whatever we want to say, more people who have access to those realms and bring it down and start to create those symphonies of the group mind together, that's going to just catalyst this whole thing, you know? Once we have more examples of it, and it becomes more ingrained and mainstreamed in a sense, that it really is mainline, and it can communicate in a way that you don't have to be a scholar to understand it. It can communicate in all of the popular art forms, like you were saying with the Bill Nye thing.
I mean,
It's going to be really key.
I mean, we've lost touch with our mythopoeic language, but we've tried to carry on without it. So we're kind of mythically illiterate, or maybe imaginatively illiterate, and we think, the imagination or poetry and those things they're entertainment, and they're a faculty of the brain that, is just like a holdover, and we enjoy it, but it's not really going to solve things. And we have to get out of that mentality, I think, and kind of acknowledge how, well, no, the mythopoeic reality is interpenetrating, whether we're conscious of it or not. And that's why I think stuff like the Bill Nye autotunes is so successful, because it kind of mythologizes. What was the last one? The Poetry of Reality with Dawkins. And he's like, this is,
I think, yeah.
Science is the poetry of reality, and it's this kind of language that really gets people going, and I think it probably strengthens their need for the sacred, even in a secular worldview.
This whole science thing. Kurt, did you that, or can I jump onto something?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Did you?
Speaking of science, people toss this thing around like they actually know what it is. Maybe we need to investigate as ambassadors of a living, breathing science. If science is living, it should be able to have many different perspectives on itself, yet still have some coherent foundation. So I think a lot of people are tossing the word scientific and science around that haven't really been that scientific at all about it. They've fallen into the dogma kind of pool, and now it's just preaching science before whatever you say, or appealing to this fact that this thing in the newsletter of this science journal said. They're becoming the new, I don't know, people are putting in institutions and concepts that have been talked about in institutions rather than their own direct experience. And not that these institutions don't have people with direct experience, but I think through 3, 4, 5 generations, whatever, that a lot of the telephone game is going on, and it's a conceptual circle jerk, is what I'm saying. And a lot of people aren't actually having esoteric experiences, just only following what some text said that somebody wrote who isn't really embedded in the same situation that they are. So for more people to trust their own intuitions in creating whatever kind of praxis in relation to science, as in investigating something and it being able to have repeat. I can hear you typing a little. It having a repeatability factor to it, as in what does this bring back to the house?
That's science.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that science sometimes creates its own religion and its own kind of cults and mythologies, just like any branch of knowledge has that danger. And what you're really calling for